One of the big stories that I've been hearing over the past few days is how Fantastic Four has been underperforming at the box office, especially domestically, when you compare it to James Gunn's Superman. And when you look at those articles explaining what a box office disaster that Disney, Marvel, and Kevin Feige have on their hands for their MCU, it's sort of easy to overlook what I consider is also a similar crisis over at Warner Brothers with its own DCU. Because if you look at the box office numbers for Superman until now, in spite of all the spin I've been hearing, it's really nothing to write home about, which is why I keep telling people that it is technically a flop. Yes, the movie has been performing rather decently domestically, and I say rather decently because in a very underwhelming summer of mostly forgettable movies, it somehow managed to do okay domestic numbers in the US. But considering how poorly Superman has been doing internationally, and in that sense, it seems kind of dead in the water at this point, the question is, how much more money can this movie even make? In a recent video, when Superman had reached a worldwide box office total of $500 million, I explained that I didn't think it had more than maybe $100 to $150 million that it could still generate at the box office worldwide. And while a lot of people in my comments seem very upset about this, here we are a week later and we're at about $550 million. And that may seem like an interesting number to some of you, but with every week after this movie's release, it only makes less and less. That's how these things work. It's more of a diminishing return situation. So let's say this week it made $50 million worldwide, then in the upcoming week, what's it going to make? 25, 30 million, and then maybe 15 million the week after that, and then maybe 7 million, and then 5 million. When you start looking at the numbers realistically and adding them up like that, at the end of the day, my prediction of a $600 to $650 million worldwide box office for Superman seems pretty accurate. Now, there have been different rumors about the movie's digital release for home rentals. Some people believe that it would happen on August 15th, which would damage the box office total even more. Other people are now saying the digital release is more likely on August 26th, but the truth is, it doesn't really matter all that much towards the bottom line. And let's just say that some miracle happens and Superman reaches $700 million worldwide, that still wouldn't be considered a big win if we look at it objectively. Between the conflicting reports about how much Warner Brothers actually spent on the production of this movie and its marketing budget, which most publications evaluate now at around $200 million, even the most friendly industry trades think that if James Gunn's Superman doesn't make at least $700 million worldwide at the box office, the movie would be considered a flop, with some actually claiming that the movie actually needs more like $800 or $900 million to break even, which is more along the lines of what I've been reporting from day one. Now, some people that refuse to see any kind of scenario except this movie being a huge hit, they'll say, but Superman had a good domestic run, which means that it helped Warner Brothers keep more money from ticket sales. And yes, there is something to that, but when your international is so measly, it's not ultimately going to save your movie from flopping. And when you zoom out and look at Zack Snyder's Man of Steel adjusted for inflation, or even Matt Reeves' The Batman from just a few years ago without adjusting, these movies both performed better domestically than James Gunn's movie. Even if, let's say, Superman ends up doing a little more domestically than Jurassic World this summer, which is at least theoretically possible, that too will be rather insignificant when you consider that the box office take worldwide on the international side of Jurassic World is so much bigger than Superman's. And this goes beyond ticket sales too, because having a worldwide hit these days for a big IP is important when you're looking at a brand in the bigger picture, which is why Superman was so significant for Warner Brothers and why they had so much riding on this movie, because it was the launching of a whole cinematic universe from James Gunn. And the fact that 12 years after Man of Steel, it doesn't look like James Gunn is going to seriously compete with the type of numbers that movie made at the box office, it really shines a light on why his movie isn't quite the success that some people are making it out to be. Now, I'm sure you can count on Warner Brothers to talk about this Superman box office like it's a big win. I'm sure that Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav and James Gunn, when they talk to the press, they're going to boast how strongly their superhero movie seemingly did this year when compared to other superhero movies, like Disney's disappointing MCU flops. But to me, that seems more of a consolation prize than anything else. After all, considering the unhealthy state of the MCU brand these days, after years of poor decision-making and alienating moviegoers, this really is no cause for celebration for Warner or Gunn, and I'm fairly certain that with the type of financial debt that Warner Brothers is in right now, CEO David David Zaslav probably isn't as happy about the Superman box office as he's letting on publicly, because when he brought James Gunn aboard, he was expecting to see something close to $1 billion at the box office every time they do this type of movie, and obviously this isn't happening. Regardless, I'm going to continue to monitor the situation, and as always, I'll report on it in the most honest way I can. And if you feel like supporting an independent news source like myself that's not just parroting what these kind of legacy access media publications are saying, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Any type of support I can get from you guys would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. But I'm